Pan-African Affairs analyst Ademola Oshodi joins us live in the studio to discuss this issue. Good to have you on the news hour this time, Mr. Ademola. Indeed, this is quite a scenario we didn't expect in the ruling party, New Tunis, because, you know, this party emerged as a political force in 2013 to lead a popular protest against the Nada government. Now, what can be done to save this party from the brink of collapse if it eventually reaches to that point?
Well, I think it's internal democracy. Whether the party should be saved from itself is a different matter. I think it should evolve itself. They should solve their own problems, and their democracy will be stronger for it. The issues around the son of the president being positioned to take over from his 88-year-old father. So, you know, and the people are saying, well, this is not the right system. This is not what is, you know, this is not what should happen in Tunisia. Things like this were attempted in Egypt with Mubarak trying to put his son Gamal in as a second person in charge. There was also in Libya with Gaddafi putting, you know, his son Saif al-Islam to the next person to be president of the country. And he also in parts of even in parts of you know, in Egypt, in Tunisia, and I know we're looking at Libya and Iraq. Saddam tried to put his sons in place. So it's seems like a common thing happening in the Middle East. So it's never happened in Tunisia. It's never succeeded anywhere else in the Middle East. So people have a right to fight against this. But I think in many cases it's just democracy working itself out, and they should let the systems, you know, they let the chips drop the way it drops. And I think, you know, if they have to leave that ruling party and form another party or join an opposition, so be it. The democracy in Tunisia will be stronger for it.
But do you see this crack as having any threat on Tunisia's democracy and, of course, peace generally in that country? Well,
it's a coalition government. There is, you know, there's basically partners in this government. So if the government loses its majority, I'm pretty sure the opposition will take the reign of government and ride with it. But we've noticed in Tunisia that the institutions are quite strong. The people have sacrificed for peace in that country. I mean, a few weeks ago, you know, the peace dialogue, tripartite system, the dialogue system, they actually won the Nobel Peace Prize for, you know, for peace in the world, especially in entrenching democracy in Tunisia. So Tunisians are ready to sacrifice for their country, and I think this would last the test of time. It would withstand. The democracy will withstand this new issues, and it will be better for it.
But don't you see anything this crisis going beyond internal politics in terms of affecting the democratic practice in Tunisia?
It is affecting internal party politics, internal party arrangement. And I think in many cases when the forces meet each other, there will be some outcome. Either the president or his son will have their way, or the internal opposition in that, you know, party, the Nadi party, will have their way also. But I also believe that whichever way it falls, the Tunisian government and Tunisian people in general will be good for it. It has to evolve. It's a relatively young democracy. I mean, Ben Ali was just removed about 3 years ago, and you know, this is, you know, they've gone through their worst periods with the terrorist attacks on the beach and at the museum. And they've stood up and they've been quite resolute in moving forward in that country. And I think this will be another test that they will pass. The Tunisians will pass this test. Democracy will reign in that country.
Now, the aggrieved MPs suggested that a dialogue should hold for the two factions basically to unite. So if it doesn't happen, if a dialogue doesn't hold, what options do you think is open for Nida Tunis to unite these factions and ensure that the party remains the majority in this coalition government in parliament?
Well, I think the 35 opposition members, internal party opposition members that are threatening to leave, will probably find some compromise. There will be some compromise in place. Though the deadline is quite short, I think it's the next few days before their threat is actually come to being. But they will find a compromise and they will stay within the party. Because nobody wants that. Nobody wants to lose power. But if that happens and they actually continue that threat, and they actually go with that threat and they remove themselves from the government, then what you'll find is the government scrambling to find another coalition party though the party will then cease to be the majority. When 35 of them have left out of, I think, 86 or so, 35 people leave out of 86, they will cease to be the majority. Then the party, automatically the majority will be the Hadi party, the opposition. But in many cases, everybody does not want to lose. There will be a compromise, and if there isn't a compromise, then the democracy and the election system will come through, and Tunisians will do what they're supposed to do to retain their peace and tranquility.
Well, don't you think this will be a quick end to the needed Tunis party if things do not go out well in the initial stage? It would be.
It would be quite an abrupt end. But again, there could be an election, and then the party in charge, the Nadi party, will then get their majority back if they actually go back to the electorate. Because it's quite a popular president we have there. He's brought relatively peace. He's brought a little bit of economic stability, though the thousands of British and European terrorists have stopped coming to Tunisia because of the recent attacks. But generally, Tunisia is a peaceful oasis in that turbulent Middle East, where you have, fighting in Libya next door, you have issues in Egypt, in Sinai, you have problems in, just below there in, other parts of Africa. So Tunisia knows the price of peace. And eventually, they lose the government, another party, another government will be formed.
Now, it seems the Ennahda party has everything to gain in this crisis facing Tunis. It will have a majority in Parliament, 67 lawmakers in the Parliament. So what is the implication of this really for Tunisia's democracy, knowing that the Nida Tunis practically wrestled power for democracy from Ennahda initially?
Yes, I believe, as I said, it's what you will find is the fact that it's a very resolute democracy there. The government, my bet is that they will not lose power, and the rebellious 35 members will basically come to a compromise and stay in the party. But if the president and the party force their son, I think it's Hafez, force Hafez as a successor to his father, then the eternal mechanism of democracy will set in. And I think the institutions are strong enough to withstand it. They may lose power, the party may lose power, but if they do go back to the electorate, they will win it. They will win it back. They will win it without the 35 members, or they will win it in a coalition government with another party. Any way you look at it, Tunisia wins here. Internal democracy and peace will still prevail because they've gone through their worst period. They've gone through really tough times with, they started this Arab Spring, and they are the most successful part of them. They've had terrorist attacks, they've had assassinations of popular opposition leaders, and they've had this huge crisis in that area. The refugees going from Libya to Europe. You've had, ISIS, Islamic State fighting in that area. And Tunisians have held together and remained strong with all these challenges. So this has just been another challenge.
Quite an optimism there you have for the Tunisians. Well, at that point, I'd like to thank you, Mr. Ademola Oshodi, for your contributions on TVC News Hour.
Thank you very much.